What's good? What's good? What's good? What's your
Good, you too. So I don't do a lot of lives. I do more lives on, let's say, Instagram and TikTok as well. Not even TikTok because I'm not free on there yet. But I share a lot. But I wanted to start coming on this platform and share more long form content. The last few years have been really crazy for me and my family, so I haven't shared a lot of personal life stuff just because, when you're in some of the storms and some of the trials, the first thing I'm thinking about is to not, really record. And also, I'm trying to, you have to play things according to the people that you're with. So I haven't shared a lot. But in the last few years, man, my family, obviously, we went through the pandemic. I was against the COVID shot the entire time. My degree is in healthcare. I studied healthcare for 4 years in college. I worked in a dermatology office. I've worked in and around the healthcare space. So I said, I was completely against it. Once they told me, like, all right, just separate, you know what I mean? I was cool. I was like, I just want to go around people. So that's the what I went with. My wife is a public figure. She's a news anchor. She ended up getting the shot. We ended up getting pregnant during the pandemic. We have two children already, a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old, Noah and Harper. And so we were expecting our third child, Miles Owen, and 2 months before he was scheduled to be due, my wife didn't feel him moving or having a heartbeat. So we went to the hospital emergency room, and they basically pronounced our son he was dead, and so it was a stillbirth. And so they had to do an emergency C-section to get him out. And so during that time, obviously we lose family members, we lose loved ones. But this situation was very different because obviously my wife is pregnant, she's carrying a baby, we're preparing the house, we've been preparing our children, you know what I mean, to what this is what we expect, obviously welcoming your little brother. And so, they're beaming with anticipation. And so then to obviously have to tell them that, their little brother is not coming, that's a very challenging and difficult thing. And it's still challenging and difficult being in that grief phase because our children are still aware, our children still yearn for their little brother. And selfishly, as parents, we yearn for our son. And so, going through that process, dealing with the mental health aspect, dealing with the physical health aspect, the emotional health aspect, a lot of couples end up separating and divorcing because obviously a lot of women too feel like this is their fault. Like my wife feels like it's her fault. There's something that she did wrong, which is not the case because, especially being a black woman, being a black professional woman, she is actually more at risk of losing a child. Infant mortality rates are actually higher in black women who are professionals because their stress levels are higher. The lack of empathy, the lack of true care, the lack of care that they receive in hospitals and medical settings. And so this is something that it's tough to talk about, and it's not glamorous. We don't talk about it often, especially in our communities. And so I had this on my heart and I wanted to share it because I feel as though, it's one of those things, if we don't share certain things, sometimes it's too late, and a lot of times we hold things in, um, and it's hurting us. You know what I mean? It's hurting us as a collective. It's hurting us as a community. And so I know sometimes we get in the mode of like, oh, we're oversharing or we don't share. And it's like, we are behind. You know what I mean? Like me as a 33-year-old man, if I die today, Lord, you know, like if I was to die today, like what would my children remember of me? What would they know of me, right? They have pictures, they have videos, they have obviously memories. My daughter's 3, my son's 6, so they have 6 years of memories, 3 years of memories. They would have photos, videos, they have my trophies and different things like that, stories that people could tell them about me. But what can I tell my children that they can't hear from other people? They need to know these things. Our parents hide things from us. I've learned so much more about my parents in the last probably 5 to 10 years than I knew about them in the previous 20. You know what I mean? My dad wrote a book. You know what I mean? So he put information in the book that they never disclosed to me. He never disclosed to me. I found out my dad had a 1.6 GPA in high school. Whole time my dad was whooping my ass if I came home with a 1.6 GPA. I went to a private school, so I can't even go to the private school. I'm gonna probably get kicked out if I got a 1.6 GPA. I'm not going to college if I got a 1.6 GPA. So it's stuff you realize. Like my dad was a 17-year-old father. You know what I mean? Teenage. My mom was a teenage, mother. So it's things that my parents kept me sheltered from, and I get it. But we have to disclose information. Like, if you want the next generations to be better, you have to be the one. You have to be the mentor. You have to be the coach. You have to be the teacher. I've fucked up a lot. By the grace of God, I've been protected by my angels. I'm grateful to my grandmother who raised me well the first few years of my life, who took me under her wing and her counsel. Lord rest her soul. And I'm thankful for my parents for the discipline that they displayed because, again, I am a black man in America. So there were situations that I was in that if I didn't have the proper training, guidance, or parental, to reach out to, I probably would have been in a worse situation. But I'm saying this because we as black men need more information. We need more mentorship. We need more guidance. Young brothers want guidance. They want help. They want tutelage. They don't want you talking down to them. They don't want you exploiting them. They don't want you belittling them. You know what I mean? Like, we know the situations that we're in. We've seen our parents work crazy, jobs just to put food on the table. We've watched our moms have all different types of men come in and out of the house just because she needs protection, she needs love, affection, care, she needs emotional support, she needs financial support, she needs all these different things. And a lot of times they're not getting it. Like, we've been put in the fucking ringer since inception and being in this system that is America. And so there's real life conversations. Like, there's conversations I can have with my brothers and my sisters that I can't have with white people. Like, white people want to jump in on everybody's conversation. White people dealing with their own shit. You got these little white boys turning out gay now or they were gay in the past, but they didn't get the love, affection. They didn't get the time spent with their parents. They lived a very glamorous life. They lived in a nice house, nice community. But what we're coming to find out is they have their trauma. You know what I mean? I'm talking to a kid the other day, not a kid, grown man, but he's like, he started crying because as a child, he lost a family dog. I lost a family dog and it traumatized me, and we gave the dog away. And I still want a Doberman Pinscher till today, but I'm not traumatized by that shit. Like, I know I could get another fucking dog. You know what I mean? But it's like real life shit. You know what I mean? Like, I wish I could have my fucking grandmother back. Like, my grandmother died from heart ailment, heart failure. You know what I mean? Due to being a sharecropper, being the child of probably sharecropper, former slave. In South Carolina, we got salt sensitivity, but we put salt in everything. Smoking. It's all different types of shit. You know what I mean? So we go through a lot of shit. But we don't talk about the real shit. And then when we do, it's like, oh, you gonna get canceled. Oh, you too woke. Oh, you too this. Like, no. I'm telling y'all. I was born in upstate New York, Rochester, New York. Teenage parents in the hood. All the stuff that we talking about now, opportunity zone, food desert, food apartheid, low wage jobs, lack of affordable housing, dirty communities, lack of business funding. My grandparents ain't own no fucking business. My parents don't own no business. My dad has a nonprofit right now, but like, we don't own shit. We don't own land. We don't own farms. We don't own manufacturing facilities. We don't own family firms, financial firms, advertising agencies. Like, there's so much shit going on that we don't have access to, yet we happy to be like, oh, we the poster boys for the NBA, NFL. Like, no, this is a minstrel show. What we're seeing is a minstrel show. Social media is a minstrel show. Oh yeah, you can go viral for doing something stupid. So what do these kids keep doing? Oh, if I do something stupid enough, I'll go viral. So then I gotta do something else stupid and go viral. Then I gotta do something else stupid and go viral. Now, I like what Jake Paul and like some of these like white kids, they go viral and then they turn this shit into a business, right? They done started better. They done started boxing promotion companies. They done started marketing and advertising agencies. They done started clothing lines. They done started production and media companies. They done started talent agencies. We get on and we don't start nothing. We get on and we don't start no businesses. Now, before y'all come at me, I started my first business, G13 LLC, back in what 2016. Well, actually, my first business was a clothing company called what was it? Game Time. It was when I was like 10 or 11. My dad had a t-shirt company, a uniform company, and so I used to make my own uniforms. My dad was a DJ. But my first legit company that I made money from, that was sustainable, that I still have to this day, is G13 LLC. And then that's my sports performance company, G13 Sports Performance. And so I train, I coach, mentor, everything. That's my umbrella company, right? I make money under that. I could do events. I've done events. I coach, can do sports camps, all types of stuff on that. But then I have another company I'm partnered in, which is CCG Consulting, which is a consulting company. And basically, we consult in energy, we consult in food, we consult in a lot of different spaces: tech, healthcare, wellness, urban spaces, rural spaces, and energy. We also have a nonprofit. I'm a president of a nonprofit called Green Environmental Outreach, GEOnonprofit.org, where we do we have a food garden, or we have a garden that produces food, and we give the food away for free to the community. We also do education, so we've partnered with Central State, which is a federal land grant institution. We partnered with Ohio State, which is also a federal extension, which is a land grant institution. And we partner with other nonprofits to do different events around the city of Springfield and the greater region of Dayton, Ohio, and Columbus, Ohio. So those are some of the things that I've been doing. But building something from scratch in the ground up, grassroots, it's fucking tough. It's hard work. And that's also why I haven't been sharing a lot, because I've been in the trenches. I've been trying to figure out, like, president of a nonprofit, like, okay, I don't have my MBA. Like, I've had some business courses. I've had some, I watch things. But, doing it on a day-to-day basis, fundraising, finding funds, like, and living life at the same time, while also being a stay-at-home dad and doing things. So it's a lot. But I challenge myself to do a lot, because I know that the more that I do, the more like applying pressure, right? Applying pressure. Either you gonna fold or you gonna make diamonds. And it's not saying that I'm not gonna fail. It's not saying that my businesses aren't gonna fail. But it's not saying that I'm not getting better, and I'm not getting smarter, and I'm not growing. And I understand that I have to apply pressure to grow. And so if I want to grow in business, I have to apply pressure to myself in the business space. I have to learn as much as I can about customer service. I have to learn as much as I can about just consumer-based habits. I have to learn as much as I can learn just about people and life and economics. I have to learn as much as I can about marketing and advertising. Also, I have to find people that can help me in those spaces. And so I'm always surrounding myself with people that are smarter than me, that are doing great things, amazing things. And that's how I get better. But it's been challenging and it's been difficult, especially in these last few years. And I've had to pull myself away. I've had to say no to certain things. I have to say no to obligations. I have to say no to events. I have to say no. I have to say no to money. And a lot of people, that's a hard thing to do. All money ain't good money. You know what I mean? Fast money ain't always the best money. You know what I mean? And so I've had to learn that. But I've also had to challenge myself in that. In doing that within the life of COVID, the life of being a dad, to, let's say, my wife is a public figure, so she operates in a world of more like up here. You know what I mean? Like, when we talk about cancel culture, you can only be canceled if you're like popular, right? You can only be canceled if nobody's talking about you, right? You can only be, so for me, like, nobody's talking about me, right? Nobody's talking about what I'm doing, but I'm doing shit on the ground floor. Now, me and my wife often, early on, we had to have a conversation because, again, she's news media. She's like, well, if you do stuff, it can interact with what I'm doing. And I'm like, yes. If I do something, let's say crazy, and it's wild outside the law, yes, it could come back to you. You know what I mean? But if I'm within the law, if I'm, if I'm within pretty much the rights of being a human, freedom, or whether that's freedom of speech, if you know what I mean? So we just live in this different worlds, you know what I mean? Like I live in reality. This is not reality. My wife is an actor, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, we're on. You know what I mean? Hey, this is the show. These are the topics we're talking about. But there's also shit going on that the news is not covering perpetually. You know what I mean? Like I was out with a bunch of news anchors and journalists and producers last night. They wasn't on camera. The live ain't come out at one time. You know what I mean? Now, had I brought the live out, they don't like really the live. They don't like because they're doing shit scripted. They don't. A lot of them don't like off script. You know what I mean? They're also journalists by education, so they've been trained. They've been media trained. They've been highly trained to when cameras turn on. Oh, we know how to turn it on. You know what I mean? That's why when people get caught up like in a hot mic situation, you know what I mean? But they're human beings. That's just their job. But a lot of them struggle to do like more like reality based things. You know what I mean? Because they are not. They're trained to write, read. You know what I mean? They're not trained to be on their toes, answering questions, be in the limelight, be celebrities, have their lifestyle picked apart. Like, oh, you're off camera, you don't look like you're on camera. Oh, that was a wig. Oh, that was a weave. Oh, you don't have any makeup on. Oh, that's what you really look like. You know what I mean? But it's all deception. Like, we've learned to master deception in this reality of TV media. Like, what is real? You know what I mean? A lot of the women that we see on social media, they're not real. They're using filters. On top of the filters, they got makeup. On top of the makeup, they got plastic surgery, or they got Botox, or they got all these different, they got lip fillers. They got all these different things, angles. They got breast implants. They done did the butt. They done did their stomach. They done did all of this. You know what I mean? So then you mask it with the shield on TV on this, and everybody's just being catfished at this point. You know what I mean? I'm thankful I met my wife in college before she got on TV. Like, me and my wife probably wouldn't, like, in this sense, work, right? Like, what is the chances of me meeting a news anchor, vibing with a news anchor, and then, like, no, but I know my wife before she became a star, just like my wife knew me before I became an All-American, before I came, she didn't know before I came a D1 athlete or a scholarship athlete, which I already had the confidence, already had the, like, oh, my skill set, the amount of work that I put in. I know if I do this in anything, and I've been around elites, you know what I mean? Because I went to college, or I went to college preparatory school in DC. So I already knew who I was. I already seen things, already experienced things. But meeting in this world over here, it probably wouldn't work because it probably would have never happened. The chances of me being in Ohio, meeting her, like, we're here because we've connected, we've built a relationship, we've built an entity together, we've built a life together. You know what I mean? And now people are seeing that life. People see my wife. You know what I mean? But then my wife has kids, and you gotta understand, well, who taking care of her kids while she doing the early morning news, doing the midday news, doing the evening news, doing the late night news? Somebody got to be taking care of them kids. And them kids look good. Them kids is smart. And them kids is beautiful. And them kids is taken care of. And them kids can speak. And them kids is living a great life. Oh, that's dad at home, huh? Oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like, who could put up? Like my wife has a whole closet. Like a whole room as a closet. You know what I mean? Like there's certain things as a man that I have to understand about respect. There's certain things as a man that I have to understand about uplifting my woman, right? Like a lot of men struggle. My wife makes more money than me, but it's our money collectively, right? We have separate bank accounts. My wife, you do what you want with your money. You know what I mean? You've worked hard for that money. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, we have a house. We have a family. We have needs. We have certain things, certain resources. But my wife pours into my creativity. My wife pours into the things that I want to do. the things that we want to do as a family, the things that the nucleus wants to do. Um, I know that I'm a creative. I'm building businesses. I have business credit cards. I have multiple business credit cards. I have multiple businesses. I have multiple EINs. So I move different. You know what I mean? But I also know that business over time, so in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, that business credit is going to expand. That business, availability and opportunity is going to expand. So who's going to be the breadwinner in 15, 20, 30 years? You know what I mean? Off of business. I don't have to be in front of the camera if I don't want to. You know what I mean? The only reason I come in front of the camera because I understand the power of media. And I didn't begin to understand the power of media truly until I went to college, and we'd have a presser, and you'd see 15, 20 people, cameras, microphones, recorders in front of you. And for me, I wouldn't see a lot of people that look like me. But then you hear the questions that get asked, and then what they decide, the clips they decide to show. You know what I mean? The sound bites they decide to pick. Um, who they decide to choose to interview. So then you realize, well, the media is really just one-sided. And then a lot of times the black people that we get, you have to speak in their media cadence. You know what I mean? Because most of the consumers on TV are still Caucasian. It's still you gotta think who can watch TV, who has time. You know what I mean? Watching TV takes time. You know what I mean? Being able to read, like who can actually read, so they know who they're pandering to, who's actually gonna ask the questions, send questions in. Like, so once I started seeing that, I was like, man, we need more representation. You know what I mean? Even with my locks, you know what I mean? Like, I haven't always had locks. If you go back in a lot of my content, I don't have locks. You know what I mean? I've never had locks. You know what I mean? Nobody trained me to have locks. It wasn't part of my family. But then I realized, like, yo, like, the idea behind a black man with locks, the assumption that comes with that is dirty, ignorant, unintelligent in America, right? Like, because we haven't seen this. My private school, we couldn't have locks or braids. Now they don't, they have locks and braids, but again, it just shows you this school's been around for 100+ years. They didn't have black people at first, but now then they can start admitting black people for athletic reasons, pretty much. And then, oh, now, you can't have this. You gotta have clean cut. But we don't do the same cuts as white people. Our hair texture is different. So there's just a lot of things, man. Like, and I deal with a lot of shit. But also, go pick up my book, Courage and Campus. I know I'm hopping around here, but I just wanted to give y'all a broad picture about why I haven't been here, why I haven't been sharing. But I'm going to start sharing a lot more. Also, my kids are a little bit older now. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to share my kids. And I didn't have a lot of fucking time to share. You know what I mean? Like, when you're fucking raising kids, changing diapers, bottles, making sure they're fed, making sure they're active, you know what I mean? Like, we out and about, like, I be busy, let's just say it like that. But I do want to share more. I want to share more about fatherhood. Fatherhood is amazing, man. It's tough work, but man, like, the love that your children have, like, fuck anything else. Like, fuck me complaining about anything. Like, seriously. Like, the fact that parents complain about children that, one, the child didn't ask to be brought into the fucking world. You know what I mean? Like, we act as if, as adults, as fucking children ask to be come into the world and then blame the child. Like, no. This child is trying to learn and grow from the situation that they're in. You know what I mean? So I love being a father, man. And that's why losing our third child was so devastating and heartbreaking. Not only was it, a second son, as a man, like, we love our son, man. We love like, my daughter is my world. But having a son, man, like, because there's something about a son, you know what I mean? That shit. Obviously, he gonna carry on the legacy. But, I come from a big family, you know what I mean? Like, I'm the second oldest of 11 children. And I love children, man. Like, I love kids. I love just the idea of family. You know what I mean? I love the idea of, like, man, watching children inspire me and motivates me. It takes me back to my childhood again, man. Like, children, I mean, they're so innocent. You know what I mean? They don't know anything. And it's up to us to really guide them and lead them and help mold them and cultivate them and protect them. And so, even when I was young, man, I've always, loved children, man, love kids. I mean, their energy is infectious. They're so smart, and they learn so much, and they just love you, man. It's that pure love. And so, like my daughter, and like kids, man, like it's nothing like my kid. Like my kids now, when they get in trouble or something, or they think they're about to get in trouble, they'll be like, "Daddy, I love you." But it's stuff like that, you know what I mean? The amount of times that we say I love you in my household, the amount of times my children say I love you. And like I low key feel bad sometimes because I don't say I love you that much to my own parents. Like I never said I love you to that much to my own parents. But again, like I wasn't truly raised by my parents. Like the first 6 years of my life, I was raised by my grandmother. So I would see my grand or my dad, I would go down to college every now and again with him. But most of my early childhood was with my grandmother. I had aunt that ran the daycare that I went to. Um, so I feel like, and that's why for me, being a stay-at-home father was so important in their earliest years. You know what I mean? Like I'm ready to go back to work now. You know what I mean? Like I'm ready. Um, and I and that's just because again they're at the point now where they need more structure. Um, they need to be around other kids their age, even if it's just for a few hours. You know what I mean? Like they need, because they need to be able to communicate. Um, but I'm all for homeschool. I'm all for all the things, man. But I just know what school did for me. I love school. Besides the whole education part, like which I was always cool with, the smarts and the education. It was when like my parents got involved or when stuff became too serious that I was like, yeah, you know what I mean? But as far as the social life that school provides, oh man, I was friends with everybody. I was friends with the white kids, the black kids, the Mexicans, the Hispanic. Like, man, what? Like I loved school, and I feel like school is really like the nucleus of what society really is, right? Like it's especially if you're in like a pretty diverse space. So where we live is pretty diverse. You know what I mean? My son goes to school with white kids, Asian. Let me see. I haven't seen as many Asian kids. I will say that I haven't seen as many Asian kids, but and there's white kids, black kids, African Americans. You have some Indians. I've seen some Native Americans. I mean some Somali. It's a bunch of Somalians, Ethiopians. Um, so you see a good mixture of um, kids. And so I think diversity is essential because we do live in a diverse world. You know what I mean? And I don't want my kids to be living in a world where they think, oh, they're the only race. Like no, like there's other types of people. But also you have to see how other type of people live. Their experiences, because it informs your reality and your experience and your perspective. And so, um, my daughter, she's still at home full time with me, looking to get her and my sister-in-law's daycare. But there's just a lot, that I've learned about myself, man, and that all the stuff that we think, a lot of the stuff that we think matters doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like a lot of my friends that I was friends with, most of them don't have, aren't in relationships or aren't married, don't have children, and aren't really building something. You know what I mean? And I'm not forcing marriage. Like I know we have a very like gross look at marriage in our culture right now. But I think that's also because a lot of folks have been getting married for the wrong reasons. You know what I mean? A lot of folks don't get married with the intention of growing. Like my wife is completely different person than when we first got together. You know what I mean? Like I don't expect the same things from my wife when we first started dating when we were 18, 19, 20 years old, as I don't expect my wife to expect me to be the same person. We have similar characteristics or traits. Obviously, we still carry some of the same tendencies and things of that nature, but our viewpoints have changed and grown. Our realities have changed, and so we've had to grow in our relationship. Um, and that just comes through communication. And that's why I think a lot of people, like if I had got with my wife just because she was pretty, You know what I mean? Like, nah, it wouldn't have worked. If I'd have just gotten with my wife because she was smart, it wouldn't have worked. Or she got a degree, it wouldn't have worked. You know, I got with my wife for the whole package, for everything she is. You know what I mean? From the family background that she comes from the Christian background. You know what I mean? Because I understand that her faith really is the nucleus of who she is, and so I know that when hard times come, traumatic times come, like she's not just gonna run. Like, what is she gonna lean on when things get tough? And that's faith, right? When things got tough, especially, things have been tough very early. I mean, we've been very challenged early in our relationship. And so when you see that, what do we lean on? Our faith. You know what I mean? When things get tough, what do we do? Like, we already are a praying family. We already are God-fearing family. But when things aren't tough, we're praying. When things get tough, we pray even harder, Um, and so, again, we have to understand, why are you getting in a relationship? What do you love about this person? What makes it? Is this a good person? Do y'all match? Do y'all vibe well? You know what I mean? Like, the only time me and my wife would really argue, like even early on, it was in like I was young and we were drunk, or I was drunk mostly, right? Like, I was a football player, doped up, hyped up, doing dumb shit, just wilding. You know what I mean? I'd be drunk, move out of character, you know what I mean? Like, and I would just go off, or something would happen, so I would get triggered or something, you know what I mean? But I've never put hands on my wife, like nothing like that. But that's when like we get in a heated argument, maybe about a discussion or something, which is good. A healthy dialogue is good. But that was the only time that we really got in like heated discussions. We were going through the stillbirth situation. Like, I was smoking, like I was consuming, like, because weed helps me. I'm medicated, like, anxiety, stress, trauma, PTSD. Like, what you gonna do? Like, as a man of the family, like, I gotta hold strong. You know what I mean? Like, my wife was crying every fucking night. My wife is depressed, stressed. She, probably contemplated suicide. Everybody did. You know what I mean? We in it. We in it. So for me, like, how do I calm myself down? I'm smoking, so she get mad. Oh, you smoked in the house. Oh, you smoked in the garage. You got in the house. My nose sensitive. So then you go off on that. But, conversation, man. Like, we've grown so much. Obviously, sex. I know that becomes a huge thing. And my wife ain't had sex for a minute because my wife ain't she wasn't feeling herself. You know what I mean? So I can't force it on her. You know what I mean? But then again, it's like, man, I'm a man, like I need that release. So then it's like, how do you go about that? You know what I mean? So we did therapy for a while. And so therapy is great. You know what I mean? I think, but understanding, man, conversation, if you need to do premarital counseling, I think a lot of people just need to do premarital counseling. That's something that a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't flesh out major things. Like, yeah, we vibe, we get along. But once shit get real in a marriage, like, that's when you see shit shake. Oh, we done lost all the money. Now what we gonna do? Oh, somebody done did something. Now they, like, somebody that, infidelity. Like, now we can't overcome that. Like, there's so many different things that break up a marriage that a lot of times can be repaired. You know what I mean? If there was proper dialogue, conversation. If you had talked about that situation, maybe arising before it ever got there, how you would handle it, what's your parenting style, what you gonna do if your in-laws, and so it's just a lot of things that we just don't talk about. And I get it. It's out of fear of judgment. It's out of fear of criticism and critique. But like I said earlier, it's not my job. You know what I mean? Like, people could think about, like, a lot of my friends or people that were friends or associates, like, it would come back to me, like, when I was going through a lot of shit, and I was posting stuff, and I had one of my best friend came to me and like, yo, people think you crazy. I was like, nigga, do you think I'm crazy? No, I don't. Okay, right? So, nigga, people that don't know you would think you crazy, right? And I am crazy, first of all. Like, we're all a bit crazy. I think that's like, when they throw out crazy, I think Kanye said something like, like, they'll throw out crazy to associate you with, like, everybody's crazy. Niggas go to work at a job they hate and will talk shit about that job every day, but be like, they paying me. Nigga, no, you're crazy. Because you can make money doing things that you love. You can make money doing things that you're passionate about. You can make money at a company that appreciates you, supports you. Like, nah, niggas is crazy out here, okay? I played football and nobody called me crazy all the time. Like, nigga, we was out there hitting every day. And I've been doing that since I was 6 years old. Now, one time, that nigga called me crazy. Like, nigga, they love that shit. You know what I mean? They love that violent shit. So, nah, when I'm playing football, making money, you know what I mean, trying to knock heads off, you ain't crazy then. Yeah, but now I'm talking about some real shit. I'm talking about some shit that ruffle a little feathers, and shit that's a little unorthodox. You seeing me in a way that's not highly produced, that's not highly scripted, that's not my media personality. Now I'm crazy. Nah, it ain't crazy. But they just do that to, try to they put the crazy stuff out there to try to take away from your relevancy and your influence and your. If you say somebody's crazy, then now we won't hear them. We won't listen to them. Oh, they're just crazy. We'll write them off. You know what I mean? We like to write off crazy people, but you don't think all of our elites are crazy, right? There's a reason they disassociate themselves with the common people. There's a reason they hire them, control them, manipulate them, exploit them, don't show themselves, but they have this, but they own the company. You know what I mean? Come on now. But again, I want to start showing a lot more of what I'm doing, man. Be sure to go follow everything that I'm doing. The Ohio Cannabis Report on Instagram. Please follow us. If you made it this far, please, if you're following me on this page, I know I post a lot of things for entertainment purposes, but please subscribe, like, comment. Comment what you want me to talk about. I'm an open book. I'm also a published author, so go cop Courage and Cannabis Volume 2, The Triumphant Stories. That's available now via Amazon, the ebook. There's also a paperback book. Mike Tyson has a featured chapter in the book. His CDO, Adam Wilkes, has a chapter in the book as well. There's over 30 great authors in this book talking about cannabis from their different perspectives, their different professions. So please go check that out. Also, Athletes in Cannabis. Please go subscribe to the Athletes in Cannabis YouTube page. Like, subscribe, comment on there. Let me know what type of content you want to see on there. Let me know what athletes that you would like me to interview on that page as well. Also, I'm always looking for great talent, man. If you like what I'm doing, over at the Ohio Cannabis Report, you want to be a reporter, you want to be somebody that, gets information, intel, and uploads it, wants to do a podcast, let me know. We're trying to build a network. Same thing with Athletes in Cannabis. If you love sports, if you love medicine, if you love healthcare, if you love lifestyle, you love cannabis, obviously, let us know. I'm trying to build more. I can't be in 10 places at one time, but I could put different people on. For my nonprofit, Green Environmental Outreach, we're always looking to start up chapters in different cities, different states. If you're a college student and you want to get involved, Green Environmental Outreach, we focus on environmental justice, social justice issues. We focus on food deserts, underserved communities, just bringing access to quality foods, quality resources, education, etc. to these communities. So just let me know, man. I'm trying to help as much as I can and do all that I can to, one, raise awareness about what's going on, but also create opportunity. Because at the end of the day, that's all we have is opportunity. You know what I mean? So follow me on Instagram, Gerald Moore Jr. What else we got? Follow Courage and Cannabis. Follow what else I got? Yeah, and football season's coming up too, so I'm gonna start talking more football, more sports. I may give y'all some lives from some football games this year, so stay tuned. I might try to do some disruptive things, with Athletes and Cannabis. You know what I mean? I might see if I can get some weed on the field or something like that. But yeah, definitely keep following, keep supporting. Thanks for everybody that tuned in. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the content. Till the next time, I'm out. Peace.